Cons of living in Japan. Living on the floor, no dryers, vending machines everywhere, complicated trash, and a few other things. That's what today's video is about. Let's get to it. Another con to Japan is floor sitting and sleeping, and low couches besides. I have a mattress. Actually, I have two mattresses that I put on top of each other. I sleep on the floor, and I have this, where I'm sitting right here is at this little table, and I have like a recliner, but it's all floor level. And so if I have to go to the bathroom, if I want to get some more coffee, I have to stand up from the floor. Speaking of coffee, it's cooling off, but I'm like my grandmother. My grandmother would drink cold coffee, and I remember when I was a kid thinking, I just should drink cold coffee. But then I think I have her genes because I actually like it kind of cold. Anyway, floor sitting and floor sleeping. And low chairs. My sofa here is pretty low. Yeah, you gotta be strong when you get up. But I don't know that I consider that a disadvantage, actually. Okay, I'm just kind of kidding around with what's a con and what's a pro. But because, every time you have to move or stress yourself a little bit, stretch your muscles, use your muscles to do something, it's like you're making yourself a little healthier every time. So it's really not that bad. And I like it. One of the reasons that I like it is because I have a small little apartment here. It's inky dinky. I actually did the calculations of, what the size of my apartment is, and it's like 300 square feet or something like that. Something small like that. And so like my bedroom is pretty small. So because I have mats that I use, and they're like what Japanese would call futon. Like they're not those chairs that we have in the States. It's different. It's futon, an official, real Japanese futon. And I can fold that up. So I fold them up with the blankets. I just put it all together. It's not the way that the Japanese do. They fold them all separately and put them in the closet. So they get even more exercise than I do. But I fold mine up and I tuck it into a corner. And I could there have been days when I just leave it right there on the floor because it's not my way. I'm not in the bedroom. I'm in the living room anyway. But I decided to try to do it pretty regularly because just for the exercise of it, because it's kind of heavy, and two mats and the blankets and everything. So using my little muscles. And they're very little, by the way, to move that into a corner. And then there's also a little bit more space. It just looks a little bit bigger. Yeah, I did it. I just recorded about 10 minutes of video, except that it was on photo instead of video. So, yeah, I hit the bling, take a picture button. And so I talked for 20 minutes to you, maybe 10, yeah. Okay, let me do it again. I guess that was practice. I hope that I didn't, lose some really great ideas. Anyway, so, yeah. I like it better than having a bed, which just blocks all the room. No matter what, you can't move it around. You can move it to another corner or something, but which leads me, since we're talking about the bedroom, it reminds me of another thing, is dryers for clothes. They don't normally use them here. They are available. You can buy them. I think they're kind of expensive, but I just said that I have 300 square feet in here, in this little place right here. I don't have room for a dryer. So many people will hang their clothes out on the veranda, and every apartment that I've been in has poles on the veranda that's specifically for hanging your clothes out if you want to. But I don't really like having my clothes hanging outside. I don't know about you. I don't like it. And especially I don't want to be out there in the winter hanging my clothes out in the freezing weather. No. It's not me. Of course, that could actually help with the exchange of air, the air exchange that I'm supposed to do, which I'll tell you about that later anyway. But I want to tell you about my system for drying clothes. I don't know what anybody else does. This is what I have discovered that I can do. So I get a rack. It's got a couple of poles on it, and it's actually pretty decently long. And I hang my clothes there on hangers, and there's little clippy things for my socks and stuff like that. And so I hang that on the rack, and then I cover it all with a sheet. Now, I didn't do this no way, I just figured this out here. But I just covered all with a sheet. I don't have to look at my drying clothes. Here's the thing, I can dry my clothes faster with a sheet over it because it sort of creates this greenhouse effect. So then I take my little heater that I use to heat up my bedroom at night, to take the ice out of the room before I go to bed at night. I take that heater and I put it underneath my clothes, of course, making sure that the sheet or the clothes aren't going to fall off onto it, because that would be a disaster, of course, but being careful about that. And I put it underneath there, and then that just creates this, like I said, the greenhouse effect, where it's like this hot air going up into under this blanket, and then it dries the clothes off faster. I don't know. I got the idea from Japanese TV, which honestly, Japanese TV is where most of my wealth of practical knowledge comes from. I learned a lot from that TV thing. Then I also use that little heater. It's just a little dinky portable thing. Just put it in my room, which is outside of the ohuro room, the bathroom. The other thing I want to mention is that I use an electric blanket on my futon. Actually, I put it underneath my sheet, so it's under me. But I turn it off before I go to bed. I just use it to heat to remove the ice also before I hit the sack at night. Yeah, that's what I would suggest. That's what I've discovered to use to make things work. Another thing about Japan, another con, I would say, in my opinion, it's a con. It's dark and it's quiet. There aren't very many streetlights. Like, can I see any? I don't know. Are there any streetlights out there? Like, where are the streetlights? They don't use them. Like, the roads are nice, but they're just not extravagant, and they're spending their tax money. Yeah, that includes keeping the place lit up. It's not lit up. Now, you may be able to go to certain parts of the city, if you're in a city that's lit up decently at night, maybe, but not in the residential areas, not in a place like this, in a little rural area like this. It's dark. And even in the residential areas of the bigger places, like where I lived near Nagoya, in Nagakute, it's quiet. You don't hear the people. There aren't any people making any noise. Now, I remember one time when I visited Japan, when I was actually working in China, and I visited my old friends in Japan, and it was so dark and so quiet. And then I went back to China, and, on the big sidewalks, there were the people out at till 10 o'clock at night or 11 o'clock at night, and it wasn't like the drunks and the punks. No, it wasn't. It was families, grandparents and little kids, and they're just all, being social. It's their style. And I was like, oh, I like this noisy place. It's quiet and it's dark. But again, like if you're living in a major city, you're going to be able to find places where there's lots of noise, but not in the countryside. You could go to an izakaya, which is like what's an izakaya in English? It's like it's kind of a bar, I guess, kind of a pub, maybe. I don't know exactly what you call it in English, but I don't drink at all, but I have like a favorite izakaya here that where I get their ramen. I like their vegetable ramen. It's piled with vegetables and it's delicious. I love that. And so, it's pretty lively in the izakaya. So you could find a place like that, that's like just got, your people that you're used to or whatever, so you can find places where you can be happy with the noise level, and at least for me, I like a little noise. Then there's the rubbish, the garbage. Did I just say the garbage? The trash, the garbage, the rubbish. Yeah. It takes a little training to get used to how to separate it. They do recycling in Japan quite extensively. You can't just throw any old trash into the same bag. You cannot. The garbage people will be after you. They will actually be indirectly after you. They'll probably go to whoever's in charge of you. Like there's like neighborhood, I don't know what you'd call them, like people that are responsible for a neighborhood of people, like, and it's like also helpful for like in disasters and that kind of thing to keep track of people. People know who lives where and they keep track of you in case there's any problems. And including the garbage. You mess up your garbage, they're going to be after you. Now, where I live right now, we separate the burnables, right? But the burnables is a little bit different than what I did in Nagoya. But the first part is all the same. So you have to separate your burnables, which is like food and paper and stuff like that, from cans and jars and pet bottles. Do we call them pet bottles in English? The plastic bottles that are for water and for pop, Coke, or soda, whatever you call it. And your cardboard. And you separate that from all those things, including the burnables, which would be food, trash, and paper stuff that's not cardboard, from that stuff that's not burnable. So like, I don't know, clock or something, or pens even, I think, are going to non-burnable trash. So that's all separated out. Now in Nagoya, besides those items that I list, another thing that you can't put in burnables is the plastic stuff. It is something that you'll see on the package that will say pura, and pura is abbreviation for plastic. And that stuff you have to put in a separate bag, in a pink bag. There, anyway, where I lived. Here we don't do that. That just all goes in the burnables. So yeah, figuring all that stuff out is a little bit tricky. You have to kind of read the rules. Like, I'm still not sure what I'm supposed to do with my batteries, for example. I have razors, so I think I need to throw those into probably, I don't know. I got to figure out what to do with razors and what to do with batteries. Now in Nagoya, I know that I could take the batteries to the post office, but I haven't seen anything like that in my post office here, a battery throwaway place. So I gotta figure out what to do with that. Japan and its vending machines. They have vending machines everywhere. I mean, you cannot go thirsty. I mean, even if you want to go thirsty, forget it. You can't go thirsty. There are vending machines everywhere. Even in a disaster, earthquake or some other disaster like that, a lot of these vending machines, they will give you the drinks in there for free. Now, I think that what happens is that I think the vending machine company has to go around and open it up, unlock it for you or something. I'm not totally sure on that, but I don't think it's just automatic. But yeah, you can get drinks out of those machines for free in a disaster. Some of those machines actually have battery charging part to them that's only for disasters. Like, you have to remove some stuff and then you can use it as a battery charger for your phone and things like that. So, like, it's another disadvantage, man. If you want to take, like, you're like, okay, there's an earthquake, there's a disaster, my smartphone is running out of battery. Oh, good, I can take a break from using the smartphone all the time. Nope, not in Japan, because you can maybe find a vending machine that lets you charge your phone. So, nope, you're not getting away from that smartphone. Convenience stores, they're prepared for if there are disasters. They have water and food and stuff for that. There are many parks, like all around parks. There are like evacuation places everywhere that are designated evacuation places, and they have stuff set up. So like these little parks, for example, they have a way to set up toilets. They like do something and they can set up toilets, and with tarps and around it, and they have like tarps, like tents and things, and they have things that can be turned into tables and seating places, and things that can be turned into a stove, into like a barbecue kind of thing. And they've got like all this tucked away and set away until a disaster comes. So yeah, actually they have a lot of stuff going on for that. They're prepared for disasters, but they always learn something in every disaster, it seems. In every big disaster they learn stuff and they improve each time. They're working on it. So I guess actually perhaps vending machines everywhere, it's not really a con, it's actually a pro. I talked about all this before I realized I had hit the photo button instead of the film button. Do we call it film? The record button. Now, would you have anything to add about the cons or the pros about living in Japan? Anything you're wondering about yourself? If so, just drop me a comment below. I have a couple of more things to finish up this series about the cons of living in Japan, such as TV tax, a different counting system, Amazon, and whatnot. Hope to see you again.